Headline news most affecting Chilliwack this week: new rules to prevent sextortion. Expect more transit disruptions this weekend. Chilliwack Council approving money for summer events, and those Chilliwack Jets continue to surprise the critics and their fans. Josh will have more in sports. In the director's chair this week, Liam Gilchrist-Blackwood. He is our work experience student from UFE. All right, Chilliwack, let's get started. To better protect people from the harmful effects of having their intimate images shared on the web without their consent and improve access to justice for survivors of sexualized violence, the province is now introducing the Intimate Images Protection Act. This includes giving young people more legal avenues should they become the victim of sextortion and need to have those images removed from the web. Carol Todd was a major force behind this. You recall her daughter Amanda died from suicide 10 years ago after she was exposed on the web by a man in Europe. That person was eventually extradited to Canada to face charges. After the recent two-day shutdown of transit service in the Fraser Valley, the CUPE 561 union reached out to First Transit. The two parties sat down for talks on March the 2nd. That was the latest effort to reach a deal for what they are calling the most underpaid transit workers in the region. That's according to CUPE. Although the two sides have met, transit workers are still not collecting fares. The union is now escalating job action and threatening some more down the road. So we have another shutdown of all services except for Handy Dart. That started today. It rolls until Saturday, so it's March 9th, 10th, and 11th. Now, further bargaining dates are expected next week. Now, if a major deal is not reached by March the 20th, a complete shutdown and a walkout by the drivers will happen. So that will mean Handy Dart service will only be available for those requiring cancer treatment, multiple sclerosis, and dialysis. Spring burn season is consistent through the Fraser Valley. The cost of building permits, that's a different story. Now, spring burn season already started March the 1st, runs until April the 30th. The burning is to remove winter growth and weeds, generally clean up organic growth, although composting is encouraged. Here's the kicker. In Abbotsford, those permits are $50. Chilliwack, you're getting off a little bit easier. A burning permit's only $35. Local governments are receiving $1 billion boost through one-time provincial funding to address the needs of growing communities. The grants are distributed to municipalities and regional districts using a funding formula that reflects population size. So it is up to the local areas to determine where the money goes, and it's a lot of it. The District of Kent, $2.7 million. Harrison, $1.25 million. The Fraser Valley Regional District, $8.8 million. Abbotsford is going to get the lion's share in the Valley, $27 million. And for Chilliwack, $16.3 million. Chilliwack City Council approved a number of funding requests for a number of summer events for this year. That includes $7,500 for the Mural Festival. As well, there will be a car show, the Classic Car Show. That comes back. Funding for the Pride Festival still has to be finalized. The Summer Concert Series has replaced the old Party in the Park. They received $6,000. And there's something new. A motorcycle festival is planned for August the 27th. Election BC pulling no punches when it comes to requiring municipal candidates for public office to file the campaign finance disclosure paperwork on time, or even by the late filing deadline. So former Chilliwack School Board candidate Greg Nelms has been disqualified from running in the next school board election. That's in 2026. Last October, Nelms finished 14th out of 15 candidates, but this time around he can't run for the next election. Now, former trustee Barry Neufeld did pay the late filing fee of $500 and submitted his completed campaign finance disclosure forms to Elections BC by the late filing deadline. So, he avoided disqualification. He could run in 2026 should he decide to run. Last Thursday, Chilliwack RCMP members jumped into the frigid waters of Main Beach at Cultus Lake, all for a good cause. It was to raise funds for local Special Olympics. The Mounties raising $2,900 for various programs that Special Olympics has in Chilliwack in the Eastern Fraser Valley. It's spring forward, fall back, the usual refrain when it comes to the time change. This weekend, the clocks go forward 1 hour on Sunday at 2 a.m., and we go back to daylight saving time, so you'll lose an hour of sleep. little bit of background. Back in 2020, Yukon heard a loud cry from their population and made that call in 2020 that was the last time they would ever change their clocks. They are permanently now on daylight saving time. You might recall an online poll here in BC in September of 2019. 93% of us said we wanted a permanent change. Then Premier John Horgan made it clear BC wanted to stay in time and in tune with Washington, Oregon, and California. Here's where it gets a little murky. Washington and Oregon committed to year-round daylight time. The majority of Californian voters also supported the move. Here's where you hit the brakes. Every thought of change was stopped in 2020 in the States. That was an election year, and only an act of the American Congress is the only way that those three states can get in sync with us. And since then, the U.S. Congress has been kind of busy with other issues, and it's nowhere near on their bucket list, which means don't expect anything to change anytime soon. After the breaks, the Jets are in round 3 of the Pacific Junior Hockey League playoffs. Who'da thunk it? Josh has more in sports.
How's it going, everyone? Josh here with you. We're back with sports. I don't know if you've clued in, but that's what we do in this part of the show. So let's just jump into it. The last few weeks, we've been covering the ongoing labor dispute between the Canadian women's national team and Canada Soccer. This week marked the first step in hopefully rectifying this conflict, as Canada Soccer has announced that a deal in principle has been reached with the women's national team on an interim funding agreement retroactive for 2022. The terms of the agreement mirror a similar deal with the men's national team that includes per-game incentives and results-based compensation. The women's team says they still haven't been paid for the 2022 season, so this deal is very important in terms of that. Players from the Olympic Championship women's team include Canadian Christine Sinclair, Janine Becky, and Chilliwack's Jordan Heidema, and they've all been outspoken about pay equity and fair treatment when it comes to the resources being put into their program. City of Chilliwack crews recently installed 6 pieces of outdoor fitness equipment in Yarrow's Pioneer Park. The park is a 2.5 hectare property that is very special to the community of Yarrow. The park offers a playground for all ages, a skate park, picnic area, bathrooms, all kinds of stuff. And it was actually redesigned in 2010 with some community input and hosts many events throughout the year, including the annual Yarrow Days event, so any new additions are always welcome. Chilliwack Basketball Club's spring team tryouts for all ages will occur Monday, March 13th for the boys and Tuesday, March 14th for the girls. Advanced registration online is recommended, so visit chilliwackbaseballclub.ca for more information. The cost for a season is $750, and monthly payment plans are available. But if you're in a position where you might be interested in an individual child grant, please contact Canadian Tire's Jumpstart program. They've got all kinds of support for you there. Now, speaking of tryouts, registration opens April 1st for tryouts to be one of the Chilliwack Giants cheerleaders. The registration fee is $100, and that actually includes the uniform and a hair bow, obviously. This is for ages 6 to 17, and more info can be found at cheer@chilliwackgiants.com. Hockey fans and pundits alike are still shaking their heads in disbelief that the Chilliwack Giants were able to knock off the powerhouse Langley Trappers 4-1 in the second round of the Pacific Junior Hockey League playoffs. Round 3 is up next, and the Jets will take on the Ridge Meadow Flames. The first 2 games of the series will be on the road, but games 3 and 4 will be here at home, with the first coming Sunday at the Hangar, also known as the Sardis Sports Complex. So definitely check that out. If you're interested, go Jets! All right, that's all we've got for sports today. Thank you so much for tuning in. As always, we're going to go now to Cari with the weather.
chillTV weekend weather with Cari Moore. Now, Cari, the first weekend of daylight saving time, will losing an hour of sleep be all worth it?
Thanks a lot, Don. Next week, we are going to have some rain. Highs of 9, down to 0 on Saturday, but a lot of rain. 1 less hour of rain because of that whole time change. But by the end of the week, we might be seeing highs back up to 9, but still around 1 or 2 with just some clouds. No sun in the forecast so far. And that's the weather, but don't quote me on it. Back to you, Don.
Thanks, Cari. If you'd like to participate in reporting news in Chilliwack and you have a story you think we should know about, you can always send us a note to news@chilltv.ca. We'd love to hear from you. That's the news this week. A reminder, clocks go forward 1 hour as we get into daylight saving time, and you'll lose an hour of sleep. You're welcome. I'm Don Lehn.